Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into a pretty intense, unapologetic lifestyle and mindset that's been spreading like wildfire in certain online entrepreneur circles. We're talking about the 90-day monk mode shift. It's an ideology completely built around extreme focus, rapid personal transformation, and just a total rejection of the traditional path in life. We're going to break down the core tenets of this framework impartially, sticking strictly to the source material, so we can really understand how this fascinating mindset actually works. Now, you might be wondering where this all comes from. Well, let's look at this wild contrast. This ideology, it didn't come from some fancy corporate boardroom. It was forged through a massive personal transformation. 8 years ago, the guy behind this philosophy was working brutal 12-hour shifts at a meatpacking plant in Alat, Spain, taking home just €100 a day to pack cold cuts. Fast forward to today, he's hosting these super exclusive €1,000 a seat masterminds high up in the mountains of Andorra. So what exactly bridges that massive gap? That's what we're mapping out for you right now. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our mental roadmap for the explainer. First up, the monk mode awakening. Then we'll hit the 90-day roll, look at some success cases and action, and finally unpack the new masculine consciousness. All right, kicking things off with part 1, the monk mode awakening. Let's look at the origin story. So this whole framework was actually born out of a really profound feeling of disconnection. To make this massive life shift, the speaker went into what he calls monk mode, which is basically radical, complete isolation. And we're just laying out his methods here to show you the sheer intensity required. We're talking about locking himself indoors for 15 days straight, living almost like a quote-unquote sick person, just hyper-fixated on work. For over a year or two, he flat out refused to buy even a €1.5 coffee, like absolutely no extra spending. Why? Well, because every single penny he had, even borrowed money, was funneled strictly into buying books, taking courses, and paying for mentors. It is literally an all-or-nothing sacrifice. But, this journey wasn't just a straight rocket ship to success. 8 years ago is when he had that initial awakening at the meat factory. Then, 7 years ago, he jumps into online entrepreneurship. But take a look at the last 3 years. He actually openly admits to losing his way. He says he disconnected from his profound truth because he just started chasing money, kind of escaping into new, shiny projects. It wasn't until just the last 3 months that he triggered this radical return to authenticity, even splitting from his business partner so he could build his current platform totally solo. So it's really this intense cycle, extreme hustle, losing his core purpose, and then forcefully realigning himself. Moving right along to part 2, the 90-day rule. Let's dig into the psychology of this change. So what kind of mindset do you actually need to pull off this kind of shift? Well, it all starts with this central spiritual thesis. Time does not exist, only the present moment exists. In this specific framework, relying on time to fix things is just a crutch. He uses this spiritual concept to jolt his followers out of what he calls living on automatic pilot. Think about it. If only the present moment exists, then change literally cannot happen in some distant future, right? It can only happen right now, in this exact second. And because of that belief, the absolute ultimate enemy in this ideology is procrastination. I mean, we've all been there, right? Catching yourself putting off a decision until next week or maybe next month, just hoping things will naturally sort themselves out. Well, that is exactly the comforting, ego-driven trap he is targeting here. He argues that if you don't forcefully align yourself and literally push yourself to the point of failure, your situation is just going to stay exactly the same. You absolutely cannot sit around waiting for the perfect moment. All right, so here is the literal 3-step formula for success he preaches. Step 1, listen to your intuition. He describes this consciousness as like a direct channel to a higher power or even the voice of God. Step 2, you make the decision immediately based on whatever that voice tells you, no second guessing. And step 3, take massive, aligned action without any delay. And what's really fascinating here is that perfection is not the goal. He's super open about the fact that he doesn't execute everything flawlessly. The real goal, the true metric of success, is just the absolute speed of implementation. All right, let's look at part 3, success cases in action. Time to see some real-world application. So what does this extreme urgency actually look like when everyday people try it? The source material gives us a few really specific case studies to look at. Take Peepo, for example. He had 90,000 followers online, but wasn't making a dime. Applying this method, within 45 to 60 days, he fully monetized that audience and moved all the way to Romania to live on his own terms. Then there's Alejandro. This guy spent 2 solid years just completely paralyzed by fear, holding on to this safe, high-paying corporate job. He finally used this mindset to just quit instantly. And then we have Ernest, a fitness entrepreneur pulling in 11,000 euros a month. He got this intuitive urge to buy a new car, completely stopped overthinking it, and just bought it immediately. Massive, aligned action. Now, as you can see, this creates two completely opposite mentalities. On one hand, you have the automatic pilot mindset. That one is driven purely by fear of the unknown, and it leads to things like hoarding cash safely in a bank account, which in this framework is considered playing small or just being soft. On the flip side, the aligned action approach is all about those intuition-based immediate moves. He actually throws around the word gangster a lot to describe this vibe. A crazy example he gives is this entrepreneur named Mario, who dropped a whopping 45,000 euros for just a 2-day mastermind on a yacht in Ibiza. Now, to the outside world, that sounds reckless, right? But to this community, that massive investment is seen as the ultimate proof that you've conquered fear.
Bringing us to our final section, Part 4, the new masculine consciousness. Let's talk about the broader movement.
So beyond just the personal wealth and these rapid life changes, what kind of larger culture is this speaker actually trying to build? We'll take a look at this number, 99.7%. This statistic tells us exactly who this uncompromising, intense message is really landing with. Yeah, his audience is literally 99.7% male and just 0.3% female. And the thing is, he is hyper-aware of this. He actively tailors his entire message directly to young men. His stated ultimate vision is to forge what he calls a new masculine consciousness. It's basically this hybrid philosophy that combines deep spiritual intuition with a highly aggressive, almost ruthless action in the business world. So to put it all together, the end game of this content is about cultivating a fiercely focused community of men who completely reject what he defines as softness, so hesitation, fear, playing it safe with savings. Instead, the goal is to build independent online wealth together. And this whole philosophy totally feeds into his immediate call to action at the end of the source material. He literally tells his audience to stop waiting around and to buy one of the 2 remaining spots in his ultra-exclusive 8-person mastermind in Andorra. Which kind of leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. We've looked at the 12-hour meatpacking shifts, the absolute total isolation of monk mode, and those massive 45,000 euro yacht investments. Does this intuition-driven, immediate action actually unlock true freedom? Or does this extreme monk mode lifestyle, literally cutting yourself off from society just to blindly chase a 90-day transformation, ultimately lead straight to burnout? It is definitely a fascinating look into a very intense corner of modern hustle culture. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And remember, always keep questioning the frameworks around you.